We are back. FKC Fantasy Hour, week number 2. We're going to help you win your fantasy football league, and here's how, because we're about to go running through the 6 with my woes. It is the running back edition of FKC Fantasy Hour. It is me, Mike Bernier. I am joined, as always, by the fellow fat kids to, I guess it's my left,
that way.
Right now?
Yes, sir. Put them up.
Below us, we have the hefty version of the casting couch. Craig.
I hope I get this job. I really need it.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
I'm really gonna nail this. I hope it's. I'm really looking forward to working with a lot of people. So I think I'm qualified.
Oh God. What number is higher, the amount of running backs we're going to go over, or the people that you hope to work with?
Probably people I hope to work with. I really work well with others. This is a very lovely couch.
Tell them who this episode's sponsored today by. Remedial. Do you work
yes, this letter. Today's episode is brought to you by the letter R for Remedial. Since I thought it was going to take. I thought it was going to take 4 weeks. It took 1 before I was told I can't say something, which is fine and all good, all well respected. Those will be now be known as remedials.
Yes, because that's what you two draft with in a certain league.
The remedial league.
Correct. We have we have a draft order, I believe, according to a text that Ryan said he got for us. For that Sunday, I didn't get that.
Not a draft order, the lineup of the drafts.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're punting it with the 2 quarterback. Then we're gonna run through the dynasty, and then we'll finish with the old R.
I was thinking about that, and
oh boy,
Mike. Unfortunately for you, you'll be there, which is you'll be able to see it. But what do you think those guys are going to be like in Manning's league when they're sitting around waiting for it? I mean, although they're in a few other leagues, but like, how deep do you think they're going to be once his draft starts? Like, should they take a breathalyzer to see if they're?
I believe. Okay, hold on. I believe what we should.
That way, who's the drunkest?
I mean, listen. Ryan, we're going on what, 13, 14 years with these guys?
Yeah.
It gets heavy. And that's usually, and it's always been the first draft of the day.
Yeah.
Now it's the last.
What I would say is on a scale of 1 to
0.08.
No, 0.08.
Take the over. The lock.
Punting.
I think you have a better shot of more than 50% of that draft being at a 0.16 than a 0.08.
Yeah.
Let's see. So that draft is you, Ryan, Brandon, Manning, Jake, Rob, and Emma.
Connor.
Who else is in that league?
Connor.
Okay.
Connor.
I think that's
Teddy.
Right?
Teddy. Murph.
You can't forget Murph.
So here's the thing. I don't know what Connor's blood alcohol content is at most times, nor do I know really if Eddie Murphy's going to actually drink any. So I'm gonna need a trio of Manning, Brandon, and Jake to pick up the volume for the 2 of them, just to get the league average back to a certain height. I'm gonna take the over on a cumulative blood alcohol content of 0.6 for everybody that's in the league. Like, I feel like we should just take a running tab and set it at
between those 3.
No.
Draft day.
I meant the whole league.
Yeah.
Because if you have Teddy and Connor at zeros, you're going to weigh that down.
I don't drink, but will my THC level fit into the
equation?
The equation
algorithm.
Yeah.
Is that a curve?
Yeah, speaking of algorithms, let's talk. We're here. We're doing the running backs today. Some questions. Same thing with the quarterbacks. We're going to talk rookies. We're going to talk backfields to avoid. We're going to talk about just rankings of certain people. Currently, I have the ESPN power rankings with a full point PPR. That is important for these rankings because there have been, let's see, how many people are in this? 2, 4, 6. There are 8 members of the ESPN panel that voted on them in their orders, and then they took the average to create the cumulative rankings going into the season. Obviously, the number one running back currently on their scale, and I think it's more because of his pass catching ability with his running ability, is still Christian McCaffrey. Any surprise that CMC going into the season with a full point PPR is the number one running back?
No, absolutely not.
I think that's been standard for a couple years now.
It has
Whether
been.
he made it through the season or not, he was still pretty much number one in our hearts, number one in our boards.
I don't think that there's a problem there. He's behind a better offensive line than he's probably had ever in Carolina. Full year with those guys. The question mark there is the question mark that we're going to eventually have next week when we talk about wide receivers. It's who's going to be throwing them the football. That's going to be the question. We talked about their situation a little bit on last week's show with Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy and potentially Trey Lance if he's not traded at some point in this offseason still. I don't necessarily know that he's going to be a 49er. So Christian McCaffrey, the slam dunk number one. It's easy here for us to say that. Yahoo actually has him as the second ranked running back behind Austin Eckler. Eckler, according to ESPN, is the number 2 running back. So 1A, 1B per se in the running back with the full point PPR. And I think that's because solely both of those guys catch a shit ton of passes.
They're actually receiver first, running back second, I think.
Yeah. And you could also factor in that Eckler is going to be a free agent at the end of the season. So
running for a contract.
He is playing for a contract. So I don't know, maybe 187 catches for Eckler this year. Because, Mike Williams might have a back problem again.
Backiotomy.
Keenan Allen, whatever.
They got the wide receiver, too, that they drafted. So that kid will probably catch a couple balls from him, too.
Hey, just so long as Herbert's throwing the ball. That's all I care about.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah.
You get the quarterback right.
ESPN has both of those guys between the 8 officials or the 8 scores at 1.5 each. So they each have 4 first and 4 second place votes. So it's pretty easy to see that those two are the clear cut line here. Now let's get to number 3, guy who decided to hold out and eventually kind of got paid, but still could have gotten paid more probably. Saquon Barkley. I don't love him as much as other people are. And maybe it's because I don't love the Giants offense. And maybe it's is Danny Dimes going to turn into fucking running back first quarterback a la Lamar Jackson, and it's going to take away from his carries. I don't love Saquon as much this year as I have in the past. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way. I'll leave that to you guys.
And he's still going to catch a ton of passes out of the backfield, but the only other weapon he's got is Waller and whatever 39 slot receivers that they decided to sign this offseason. So you're really not so scared, of Saquon like you were in the past. There's nobody to cover except for Waller. Danny Dimes doesn't really scare a whole lot of people. Scared the Giants into getting $40+ million, but hey, good for him.
The receivers currently on the New York Giants depth chart: Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell, Sterling Shepard, Wendell Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, Jamison Crowder, Cole Beasley.
Ooh.
So
Featherstone?
Featherstone, yeah. Throw to Featherstone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jesus.
It's pretty bad. It's not a great it's not a great receiver core. So Saquon,
it was like that last year with him too. I mean, they didn't have anybody who was a threat.
No.
When he stays healthy, he deserves that number 3 spot.
True.
If he doesn't, then that's where people get burned with it.
All right, if I had a soundboard for this episode, this is where I would hit my first. Nope, don't agree with it. Don't want to agree with it. Siren of the night. The number 4 running back, according to the PPR rankings of these 8 members of this panel, representing the rookies, Bijan Robinson of the Atlanta Falcons. And here's my problem with it. Fuck is Desmond Ridder going to throw him the football? Bijan Robinson's best bet is that somehow Taylor Heineke wins that starting job. Because if he's hoping that it's Desmond Ridder, we are in trouble.
Yeah, but let's. What about Algier, who ran for 1,000 last year? This is his second year. Algier's just not going to be like, okay, I'll take, less out of the backfield. It's going to start off as a split probably. He's got other guys back there. Cordarrelle, that's way too early for a rookie. But they're basing it upon what they're assuming he's going to do.
I'm looking right now to see where else. They don't have another. ESPN does not have another. Tyler Algier is 46th in the top 50. That's the only other. Cordy P isn't in the because he's probably graded as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
So, I don't love this. I don't love him being this high. I don't think his ceiling is. I don't think it's better than a Jonathan Taylor, even though he's in his dispute with the Colts. I don't think it's better than Derrick Henry. I don't think it's better than potentially Josh Jacobs with a pretty garbage offense around him. So he's going to be running the ball a lot more. So there's a lot of guys Bijan in the top 10. I may not hate that, but top 5, I think we're a little too early on the let's go get him because, he's a flashy name that's going to be involved in the Atlanta offense. Note to self, the last flashy name that the Atlanta offense drafted was Kyle Pitts. And how great of a tight end has he been? I'll wait.
True. But I think that, it's funny. Craig and I had this conversation the other day. We rewind probably 5-6 years ago when we're all drafted. I think everybody would say 8 out of the first top 10 picks would be running backs. What is that?
Oh, it's just a cherry Pepsi.
No, nice. Getting wild?
Wow, baby.
The value of drafting a running back in the first round isn't there anymore. It's not. It's almost like I said to Craig. It's almost like we're doing the same thing the league's doing. It's just devaluing the position.
Well,
because I'd rather have a healthy receiver than a questionable running back at this point. And a lot of these running backs you mentioned are questionable at this point.
Sarcastically enough, we were talking to Matt today before the game started about the Vampire League. And I made the comment because you were like, oh, you have to start a quarterback and then the rest can be flexes. And I was like, cool. So I'm going to draft 37 wide receivers.
Correct. And I didn't disagree with that formula
because at this point, at least I know that they're going to go out there and have a shot to score points.
And also get targets.
Correct.
And not get vultured.
And not only that, I think the injury risk of a running back is a lot more than a receiver. Like a receiver is either concussion or it's a fucking hamstring or a knee. Running back, you don't know what can happen. It could be a high ankle sprain, it could be shoulder, it could be a concussion, it could be anything.
Well, let's also look at it. Bijan Robinson, first running back that we've talked about, that there's a handcuff option that could take carries from him. Correct. That could be a person that could vulture red zone carries because Algier's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But what happens if Bijan fumbles and the coaches start being upset with that situation? Now Algier gets more run. Now Algier gets more run. Now Algier gets more run. And now Bijan Robinson, who you drafted in the first round, 10 carries a game, 12 carries a game. And you got to hope that Atlanta keeps games competitive because if not, your only hope is to get points from him catching passes out of the backfield. And do you really want to put your fate in Desmond Ridder? Because I don't.
I don't know. Watching some clips of him catching passes out of training camp don't look too bad. I don't know if you've seen a couple of them, but he's made some catches, though.
Buddy, he can catch them. But I don't trust Desmond Ridder.
And it's not even
rough Ridder. You don't trust him?
It's not even to say that you don't think that you give him the first, second down, he runs the ball. Okay, now line him up in the slot. But Algier's going to be in the backfield taking that carry. Mm-hmm. What if it's a goal line carry? You got healthier legs behind you instead of a guy who just ran. So I just put him out, let him just run a fucking little quick route. See.
And it's funny you mentioned this because I think they signed who they signed Hollins too, Mac Hollins out of Las Vegas. We're talking about Atlanta here.
I'll bring up their depth chart.
So now you got a running game, you got a wide receiver, you got a tight end. Like maybe this opened things up for who you mentioned as probably one of the biggest fantasy busts, come along in a while. Kyle Pitts. I
that
mean,
one hurts.
if they establish a run game, this might be the thing that opens up everything. That's all.
Sure.
It might not be Desmond Ridder doing it, like you said, but at least give me one solid one wide receiver. Give me one solid one.
Current running backs on the Atlanta depth chart: Cordero Patterson, Gordon Igwebuike, Tyler Algier, Clint Ratkovich, Bijan Robinson, and Carlos Washington Jr. So no Mac.
No, I'm talking wide receiver.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, because they don't. I don't think they.
Josh Ali, JJ Arceo Whiteside, Chris Blair, Slade Borden, Petty Hart. Yeah, they did sign him. Drake London, Mac Hollins.
London, like I said, they got London, they got Hollis, they got Pitts. You got a decent running back. It might not. I think it's a good spot to put him in. I mean, would I draft him there? No, I'd rather wait for like a Tony Pollard or like your guy, in Seattle. Or, like I'll take the chance later on with a guy that's proven it to me than a rookie.
Yeah, and at the same time, you're missing out on an A1 wide receiver.
Wide receiver, exactly. Which is pretty much, like I said, we're following the trend of the NFL.
All right, rounding out the top 10, Derrick Henry's at 6, Josh Jacobs is at 7, Nick Chubb is at 8, Tony Pollard is at number 9. Number 10 would be the second time I'd hit that a little bit of the wee woo alarm. That is Ramondre Stevenson of the New England Patriots. Don't love the fact that he's ahead of a couple guys here that are behind him. Travis Etienne, Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, Kenneth Walker III. Don't love that he's ahead of those guys because I don't really know how great of a pass catcher Ramondre Stevenson is.
He's a pretty good pass catcher, but he also doesn't have Damian Harris back there anymore.
Agreed, but it's also Bill Belichick and a New England running back.
Yeah, and don't fumble.
The first time you fumble, you may be running in like Guadalajara, the Mexican Summer League. He might just punch you over to the XFL.
Saskatchewan, dude, Rough Riders.
Yeah, Rough Riders. So again, I don't necessarily think 6 through 9 is a bad list. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, Tony P.
I think that's perfect.
Nick Chubb. You could put the 4 of them, I think, really in any order. I get it. Derrick Henry, obviously the best physical runner in the league. Tennessee's offense now with DeAndre Hopkins, Ryan Tannehill still the quarterback for now. Dear Lord, please don't let it be Malik Willis. Boy, that'd be awful. So it's one of those where looking at it, I can see where they maybe ding King Henry a little bit just because of his lack of pass catching. But it's still a top 10 running back with basically just being a physical runner. I don't think there's any problem with that. 11 through 15, Etienne, Mixon, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris, and Breece Hall returning from the ACL injury. This is obviously without knowing where Dalvin Cook ends up, because I believe if Dalvin ends up with the Jets, I think Breece Hall's stock falls a small bit. Maybe not a ton. Maybe he falls into that 18 to 22 range, maybe not in the top 15.
Or where do you put Dalvin?
Currently, we'll get to Dalvin. He's a little bit further on the list. I believe he's in the 40s.
No. Okay. But what I'm saying is, let's say he does go
signs there.
If he goes to the Jets, if he goes to the Dolphins, if he goes to a team where he's going to be the clear-cut number 1. Granted, Breece Hall's the future there, but it's a rookie coming back off of.
I would say you can bring him back slowly.
Yeah, you can bring him back very slowly.
So Dalvin is actually 31.
Yeah,
that'll be 3.
I would probably jump him up to probably 24 if you went to the Jets. Okay. And it's because of who's there, and we'll talk about them here in a few minutes. Najee Harris, is this a year where we need more out of him for that offense? Is this a year where you got to kind of Kenny Pickett was good? Do you kind of not put the ball in Kenny's hand as much this year? Hope that Najee can carry the offense and lead to some games in the North, because I feel like this is an offense that they want to run through him. Mike Tomlin loves to run the football. Is this a make or break year for Najee Harris in Pittsburgh?
I think, just because he's probably running for a contract too. He's one of those kids that's, 23, 24, 3 years in the league now, probably. I'm assuming he's probably got a 5-year deal as a running back. They could probably franchise him, maybe 4 years, first-round pick. He's got to be running for something. And, I think that offense needs him to be a 1,000-yard rusher, catch 50 balls for them to be successful.
Yeah, but he was banged up, though, And
I think he still got 1,000 last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
think a lot of that was late, too.
Sure, but, in order to have a good running game, you got to get a lot out of your receivers, too.
True.
If they can stretch the field more, Fryer moves, extend that field a little bit more for him. He can catch passes. He's a good pass catcher out of the backfield, It's everybody around him that's can't just be the one guy just taking the ball and going forward. Guys got to run their routes the right way. The play action's got to be done the right way.
You also have to rebuild that offensive line now that
Pouncey
brothers are gone.
And they've always been known for great offensive lines.
I think that's the key there.
Both sides of the ball.
Absolutely. 16 through 20, we have the second rookie of the list. That's Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. Teddy's taking him. Kenneth Walker III of Seattle, James Conner in Arizona, Alexander Madison in Minnesota, and Damian Pierce of the Houston Texans round out the top 20. Anybody here that's surprising or anyone that's missing out of the top 20 that you think is a surprise?
No, but I'll be a homer. And
Homer.
I would have when healthy, because now he's got a groin issue.
Yeah.
But
Not
Walker's a beast. Well, and that offense is going to be so much better this year. But when healthy, I would expect Walker to be ranked higher and just keep moving further on up.
So he's currently in the 17 spot. When healthy, where do you put him?
Right around the top 10, right around 10, 11-ish.
So you put him ahead of you put him ahead of ETN, you put him ahead of Mixon.
No, he's right there with ETN and Mixon.
Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I'd probably put him ahead of Aaron Jones.
So that's like after the top 10, then you're saying.
So 13-ish. 13-ish.
Oh, 13-ish, yeah.
Okay.
But we still got time.
I don't hate it. I'm just trying to figure out where your feeling was. So because at this point, I feel like he's a top 12 to 13 running back in the National Football League, but I also don't get paid.
And I agree with that too. But I was talking to Craig about this. His backup is getting love. Obviously, wearing the UCLA hat there. So I know he got hurt too. I don't know how bad. Yeah, I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be.
He's going to be good.
I think he's going to be really good. Honestly.
Yeah. It's going to be scary to have two running backs that are really good.
I wanted that guy for the Eagles. He's a beast, man. You can never have enough running backs, especially healthy ones.
We've proven that. Proven that.
You know that. The only thing I might have issue there is Pierce. I might move him up a little. I think, in that offense, and I think that's a little low for him in the 20s. I might put him in between my 10, 15 as well.
My concern here is not necessarily moving any of those guys up. It's the fact that there are guys in the 21 through 26-ish range. I don't love James Conner, but I think it's because I don't love anything in the Arizona offense.
That too, but even when with the Kyler Murray, I never loved him just because Kyler Murray is more of a threat than he was.
So I don't understand. Like, I get it if Kyler doesn't play the first couple weeks, that Connor's stock will be through the roof with Colt McCoy at quarterback. But I don't love James Conner in the top 20. I would rather have the guy at 21, Rashad White, even Miles Sanders being the number one in Carolina, Alvin Kamara, even with his suspension, Isaiah Pacheco, J.K. Dobbins. Those are all guys that I would want before I drafted James Conner.
Javante Cook.
Exactly.
Once I know where Dalvin goes.
Sure.
That's always one name I've tried to stay away from for the last 4 or 5 years, honestly.
Yeah, I don't love it. I don't love the offense.
Yeah.
21 through 25 is Rashad White, Miles Sanders, Alvin Kamara, Cam Akers, Isaiah Pacheco. 26 through 30 is Dobbins, Montgomery, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, James Cook. Anybody in that 10 that you think you want to go get or that you need to avoid? The name that pops into my head, and this is because of for you, Ryan, I don't know that I really want anything to do with the Philadelphia backfield, at least not early, because there's 4 very capable running backs in that backfield.
Yeah.
But start Boston Scott against the Giants.
Always. I was talking about Gainwell, too. I mean,
DraftKings.
Yeah.
DraftKings. No, I mean, I wouldn't want to start an Eagle running back, too. But if you look at the stat, I think Miles Sanders is getting paid the same amount of money that all 4 or 5 of the running backs for the Eagles are getting paid. So I'd rather have 4 or 5 than 1. Rashard Penny, take him. Swift, take him. I don't.
Until they get hurt.
Yeah, but in fantasy, hell no. I ain't touching any of them.
I actually cracked the joke when the trade went down in the Huddle Up Facebook group. I was like, okay, so I think we figured this out. Kenneth Gainwell is going to start weeks 1 through 4. Yeah. Swift's going to take 5 through 8. We'll get Rashad Penny on 9 through probably like 13, and then we'll kick back to Gainwell for 14 through 17, and then we'll figure it out in the playoffs when we get there.
Like Craig said, Boston Scott versus the Giants.
Boston Scott against the Giants both times.
We're good. Ready, break.
Yeah. The other thing here, looking at the names that come after this, AJ Dillon is at 32. I think that's solely because of the handcuff of Aaron Jones. Brian Robinson for the Commandos. Is that offense going to have anything?
No, because they're crybaby fucking pussies. Our coach is too intense. Are you serious? You're grown-ass men, grown-ass fucking football players. You're gladiators. You go out there and beat the fucking piss out of each other, and you're crying because your coach, who's won 2 fucking Super Bowls, is too intense. Fuck you all. Fucking Washington fucking pussies. The coach is too intense. Are you serious?
Riverboat Ron? We love Riverboat
Ron. No,
Bieniemy.
Oh, the players are crying about Bieniemy. He's too intense in practice. He's won 2 fucking rings.
Yeah, he's too intense. All he's done is develop arguably a top 4 all-time quarterback and won 2 Super Bowls and been to 2 more.
And they're crying. Get the fuck out of here, fucking pussies. Anyways.
Let's see. New face, new place. Former Cincinnati Bengal, Samaje Perine, now in Denver.
No, wow. I can take pussies on you.
Craig,
yeah, that's fine. Just not the other word.
Is he on the casting couch now? Is that
yeah, he is. He just dropped.
Excuse me, ma'am. What time is my interview on this couch?
What?
I told him I feel like I'm on a casting couch.
Like a porn casting couch?
Yes.
You do look like a typical dude in those videos.
I've never seen him.
You've never seen him?
I mean, I've seen the pictures of the girl.
They're the best porn to watch. They're hilarious.
Sorry. Did she hear me? Mute the mic, Craig.
Mute the mic, Craig.
Ryan wanted to know if I'm a bottom or a top.
Power top. Oh, shoot, she said bottom.
Yeah, of course she said bottom.
Oh, I love this game.
Today's episode is brought to you by.
Yeah, exactly. New face, new place, Samaje Perine in Denver.
I love
was a pass catching back for the Cincinnati Bengals. Any fantasy value here?
Yes, I love him. I always love him. I think it's a great opportunity for him to, as a Bengals fan, did you not love him?
Oh, I loved Samaje. You couldn't really start him in fantasy because of Joe Mixon.
As a Joe Mixon owner, I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a name I just never liked either is Joe Mixon. I'm sorry. I know he's got flashes, but has he ever played a full season?
I don't know, but I'm probably trading him at some point this season.
Good. Please do.
I'll give you a bag of bubble gum for him.
Right. That's what he's worth these days. Bag of sunflower seeds.
Buddy.
Can't even eat sunflower seeds.
Teddy might need a running back going forward.
That's true. He does love him some Nixon.
He does love him some Joe. That's for damn sure.
Mm-hmm. I'll sell him off.
Let's see.
Joe Mixon. Just before he's ever been healthy.
Yes, 2021 he played in 16 games.
Woo!
2019 he played in 16 games.
Okay.
He's played in 14 games in 3 seasons. The only season he didn't really play a lot of games was 2020, where he played in 6 games.
Okay.
Everything else, it's been.
He always misses some games. He's always either flashes of 200 yards and a touchdown, and then he's gone. Like that's but I think that's with any running back these days too. So I don't mean to shit on him, but
I also think his production value has gone down since a certain individual has become the quarterback of that team and is chucking the ball to two extensively stud wide receivers.
And he's not going to get suspended for any of his off-field stuff.
Not civil suit.
No,
there's nothing criminal.
I believe he avoided all the potential suspensions.
At one point, they were talking about trading him, get rid of him, or cutting him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, but he went to them and he willingly took less money to stay.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think. I mean, P-Ron, love him. Mixon, yeah.
Yeah, but now you see, but Mixon will be playing.
Yeah.
For more money next season.
Correct. Another new face, new place. The touchdown vulture himself.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams, now with the New Orleans Saints. Where do we sit on him? Is he going to do the same thing in New Orleans with Alvin Kamara basically being suspended for a couple weeks, and then the questions on his toughness in the red zone? Is Jamal Williams another threat to just eat touchdowns for lunch?
Not only that, I saw earlier, I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I saw Kareem Hunt also might sign with New Orleans.
I did see that they were talking to him.
He did not? Okay.
Did not.
But he is meeting with some teams as well. But.
He went to go meet with somebody else today, but he left New Orleans without a contract.
Okay. Because that definitely, but yeah, I love his situation.
So did
Kareem Hunt is visiting the Indianapolis Colts.
That's a good spot for him too.
Especially if the excused absence of Jonathan Taylor was really kick rocks, dog.
Or you could trade him.
Because at this point, I don't know that he's worth the headache if you're...
Get value for him. Get value for him while he's still healthy.
Correct.
You know.
So let's see. All right, so that's that. Is there anybody else that I want to talk about from this list? Let's see.
One thing I wanted to say one thing though. Like guys, you're like how you feel about whatever Dobbins, just tanking. They signed Gus, but they still got Gus Bus. They brought in Melvin Gordon. He hasn't even been practicing this offseason. He's demanding more money, and it's like, what leg are you standing on? You're hurt. You've been hurt.
His left one.
Like seriously, you've been hurt, and this is the whole problem with the whole running back thing. They all feel like they all deserve to be paid top money because they're in the fucking NFL.
Yeah.
Look. Taylor, yes, can be one of the best running backs we've got in football right now. You know, but you're letting your contract that's not even up. You want to talk about holding out, and then you want to be traded. Like fucking spend some time in the goddamn NFL before you start demanding shit. It's become like the norm now. You know, like I get it. These guys, they all cry, they complain, they want to get paid. But the average shelf life of running back is what, 1.5 to 2 years?
Jeff Zybrick reported 6 hours ago that Ravens coach John Harbaugh said he expects Dobbins back soon. Says that the exit or the excused part from camp has been more due to the injury than the contract dispute. Obviously, looking out for his guy. See, here's the thing. That backfield and Lamar, I don't want anything to do with it.
Absolutely. But what I'm getting at with Dobbins is, okay, how much do you think you're worth? Look at all the games you've missed.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think he's worth another $1, but I'm saying from the fantasy football relevancy, I don't want anything to do with that backfield. None of them can stay healthy. Gus has missed time. Dobbins has missed time. Lamar's missed time. I don't want anything to do with anything, but anybody in Baltimore that's not probably named Zay Flowers.
And the one guy,
or Mark Andrews.
Like we talked about the quarterback taking away your red zone opportunities anyway. So, you know, that's one of those things. As if I'm drafting a running back, that's not who I want.
It's not the first guy coming off my board.
Exactly.
And the one guy in that range that I do like is Cook
from Buffalo.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Because what's his name's gone? Singletary's gone.
Yeah, I'm surprised that like Buffalo didn't take a shot at trying to get Derrick Henry or something like that to make some noise. And
Buffalo did add Damian Harris.
Yeah,
that's right.
So it's not like they didn't add anything. They did get a piece. I don't necessarily hate it. My biggest question, and this is more of a team question, if Dalvin Cook does not end up as a Miami Dolphin, who is the number one running back on that depth chart?
Ooh. Ooh.
Like,
Jeff Wilson. What are we doing?
Jeff Wilson, you're in.
I personally feel that this is the same thing that is going to go on in Philadelphia.
Yep.
Raheem Mostert will play weeks 1 through 3. Then he'll get an ankle injury. He'll be out for a couple weeks. Then we'll get Jeff Wilson, and then he'll have a hip injury, and he'll be out for 3 weeks. Then it'll be Myles Gaskin, and he'll play for 4 or 5 weeks, and then he'll get hurt. And then it'll be like, who are we playing at running back this week, guys?
I drafted some rookie. I forget his name. He's supposed to be
Devon Akne.
Yep, that's it.
Achane. I'm the worst with last names. From Texas A&M. 3rd round pick. He was the 84th overall selection.
So at least they got another one to plug in for a week, 10 through 16 or whatever the last one is.
Look, I'm looking at this depth chart, and I'm like, there is not a lot of depth in the Miami backfield. This is why.
And I think that's on purpose too. Just like the Eagles.
Okay, hold on. But the fact that Dalvin Cook's out there and you got one guy who's a concussion away from basically not being allowed to play football for the rest of his life as your quarterback, the one thing you need to do is be running the football more. And you're telling me right now with a straight face that Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. are supposed to be like, we're going to win the division.
No.
Pick up the phone. Pick up the phone and call Jacob right now. I say, Dolphins going to win the division, baby. Mark it. With who playing running back? You? Because all 3 of those guys are going to miss time at some point.
Of course, but that's okay. Like you said, it's running back by committee. You could get a Dalvin Cook, or you could have 5 guys who fucking are going to get hurt, but they're going to get you there too.
Or you just sign Dalvin Cook, or you just fucking pick up the phone and you call the Green Bay Packers and you trade for A.J. Dillon, or you pick up the phone and you call Houston and try to trade for Devin Singletary, or you pick up the phone and you call a team like Atlanta and see what they want for Tyler Algier. Go get you a running back that can actually do something for you. Because from a fantasy perspective, and we can now transition to the other part of this, or the next part of this, I don't want anything to do with that backfield. Nope. I don't want anything to do with Philadelphia's backfield. Nope. I don't want anything to do with Baltimore's backfield. Nope. There are more backfields going into fantasy drafts where I have more questions than answers.
Yep.
Pittsburgh. I like Najee Harris, but I feel like Jalen Warren could take carries from him.
Yep. We just talked about New England too. It's just one of those backfields. I don't care how many running backs you got. I ain't touching it.
Who else? I don't trust it. And what about Arizona? Who's behind Connor?
Let me look real quick. Hold on. I'm bringing it up. I have the depth charts sitting in front of me.
Steve DeBerg.
Keontae Ingram, Corey Clement, and Tyson Williams.
Oh, wow. Squad.
Keontae Ingram was a 2022 6th-round draft pick out of the University of Southern California. Corey Clement is a 7-year running back from Wisconsin.
Yep.
Did he win a ring?
Yeah, he was instrumental in that Super Bowl.
Okay. Wow. Let's talk about this Arizona depth chart real quick while I want to throw up in a bucket.
Hot garbage.
Colt McCoy, David Blau.
Let's go.
Running backs, James Conner, the other guys that we mentioned. The top 3 wide receivers, Hollywood Brown, Rondale Moore, and Greg Dortch, with Zach Pascal and 7 guys who I could really not want to pronounce their names, and Zach Ertz as their starting tight end. Wow, guys. Super Bowl.
They're tanking for
if you draft Zach Ertz.
Yeah, this is tank for Caleb Williams, boys.
Yep.
And then trade.
That's a squad that could do it.
And then trade the midget in the offseason and get more picks.
Yeah.
Correct. Because somebody will trade for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you eat a lot of that money. The other backfields like that, like Aaron Jones, obviously the clear-cut number 1, but you have to worry about the handcuff of A.J. Dillon.
Yep.
Looking through here, going division by division, Buffalo, I think, it's Cook's backfield, but if Dalvin signs there, you have to remember that Damian Harris is there. Don't necessarily love anything there.
I think Josh Allen's the lead running back in that backfield.
Yep. Miami, we talked about them. New England, we've talked about them.
Yeah.
The Jets, it's Breece Hall or potentially Dalvin Cook.
And you're even scared to take.
Breece coming off the ACL injury.
ACL not being ready. Pass. You know?
He also has Michael Carter, a guy who ran well for them down the stretch last season. You're gonna use him. It's not gonna be just a clear cut backfield there. Baltimore, obviously, the questions of Dobbins and Edwards and whoever else they have with Lamar taking carries from all of those guys. Justice Hill is still there. Melvin Gordon, as you mentioned, is still there. All guys who have played multiple games throughout multiple seasons. So Baltimore's a real question mark. Cincinnati, obviously you have Joe Mixon, no Samaje Perine anymore, who we mentioned is now in Denver. That's a big if you're a guy like Craig who has him in the Dynasty League. It's a good piece to have because you know he's going to get all the carries or at least most of them.
Yeah.
Trayvon Williams is back there. Chris Evans and Chase Brown. But Brown I believe Brown is the 5th round pick out of Illinois. So he probably won't see the field often the first couple weeks of the season. So definitely a guy. Cleveland, it's the Nick Chubb show. Now that Kareem Hunt is gone, we don't have to worry about who's the number one there anymore, even though it was clearly Nick Chubb the entire time. And anybody that wants to say it was Kareem Hunt can go live in a box because you were wrong. Pittsburgh, Jalen Warren, I think, is going to inevitably start taking carries from Najee Harris. I still think that this is Najee's backfield. But I feel like Mike Tomlin is a guy who's going to go more of a committee at running back. He did it for a while with what was it, like Mendenhall and whoever else they had those couple years where he really went. It was Connor.
Really
it was Connor.
Yeah, it's Connor, James Connor.
And Rashad Mendenhall.
Yep.
Like they went to that. I think they're gonna do the same thing this year. I think they're gonna let Najee be the number one, but I don't necessarily know that he's gonna be a number one running back when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Houston, it's Dameon Pierce, but he's coming off an injury.
Yep.
I don't love that offense. Rookie quarterback. Okay, I guess we'll hold our breath there. Indianapolis, if Kareem Hunt ends up there and Jonathan Taylor ends up elsewhere, at least you know you got a Kareem Hunt sighting, but that's a fucking headache.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with that backfield. I really don't.
I can't wait to see draft day how far Jonathan Taylor falls if all this shit plays out the same way up until then.
Someone will draft him in the first round.
You still think he'll get drafted in the first round if they don't see eye to eye?
Somebody at the 8, 9, 10.
Would you?
Wait, in which league? In a 2-quarterback league? No, I'm not touching him because I'm probably taking a quarterback in the first round. Let's be real.
No, just a regular, PPR.
Standard full point or half point?
Half point. Full point. Both.
If I have the 8, 9, 10 and Chase Jefferson and the other running backs are gone, I would consider it. If I have an option to take Chase Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, probably not. I think it all depends on if I'm sitting there at 10 and I go, okay, I got back-to-back picks and I'm taking a receiver and a running back and I'm taking Jonathan Taylor and, AJ Brown, then I live with the sword, die with the sword. Or I take 2 and I hope that Craig's brother Billy doesn't draft 37 running backs before it gets back to me. Yeah, feel free to listen to this show, Wood.
If I was in that scenario, I would, like I said, I would go with a Tony Pollard or something where at least I know I'm going to get something week 1. And correct. I know he's, what if they just shelf the guy, don't pay him? You know what I mean? Like that could happen. What if he says, he's running for a contract regardless if it's from them or somebody else. But if he ain't running, he ain't worth shit.
The Ray Rice syndrome.
Exactly. 100%.
I'm going to sit out. I'm going to sit out because
Le'Veon Bell. Ray Rice did something different to not play football.
No, because there was before that Ray Rice pulled that same shit and they were like, okay, we'll shelf you. We'll shelf you. And then he was like, well, maybe I'll come back. Yeah, and then the next season was when, he decided to play Queen Deuce.
Oh, yeah.
Jacksonville Jaguars, it's ETN's backfield. I have no problem drafting him.
I do like Tank as a handcuff too.
Yes.
I think that's somebody that, if you get into those later rounds, that he could be there because ETN is not going to, and I own him in the dynasty, and I know you're not going to get much from the goal line from him as far as touchdowns. He's either catching 5 balls in 40 yards and 5 rushes, 80 yards. So one of them 60. If you don't get in the end zone with it, he's not going to be your goal line back. So I love ETN's value, but I love Tank as a handcuff too.
Obviously, rounding out that division, you have King Henry. I think he's probably the safest running back to draft in the National Football League, just because you know what you're getting from him. So
until his foot starts to slow him down towards the, November-ish going into the playoffs.
Buddy, it's because he eats too much starch at Thanksgiving. It's the gout. It's the gout in the toe. We got to figure out how to cut it, man. We got to cut the toe off. We got to do something, man. We got to get rid of it.
The Ronnie Lott, cut that shit off.
AFC West, Denver Broncos. That backfield is. I feel like it's Williams' backfield, but like I mentioned, Samaje P. Ryan's there. That's it.
Either. Yep.
So the Kansas City Chiefs.
One touch it.
Pass.
Yep.
Pass. Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm good. Las Vegas Raiders, another guy. I put him in the same boat as I put Derrick Henry. Probably one of the safest picks that you can make in a redraft standard league. Josh Jacobs is a bell cow running back. Their offense is going to run through him.
Again, do you draft him?
I would.
Okay, because he might not play this year. You know what I mean?
I would. He's a guy that I would draft because I feel like he is, and this. I'm not trying to sound insincere when I say this. That guy's a baller. He wants to play football.
100%.
Like, he wants to play football. Those other guys are like, I want to get paid.
He ain't with the team now. He flew out. He gone. He
That don't mean that he ain't gonna play football this year.
He's got to sign that that franchise tag if he wants to.
That don't mean he ain't gonna play football this year.
All right, you're right.
No, they're looking to rescind it. They were looking to rescind it
That's what I'm saying.
There was talk about it, and they're like, "Fuck it, take the $10 million off the cap and trade his ass."
That's what I'm saying. He's gonna play football somewhere. It may not be.
True.
It may not be Vegas.
And you know what? I really like Vegas for doing something like that because, all right, one guy's not going to hold your team fucking hostage. You're a running back. You got 3 to 4 great years left in you at best. Let me get value for you. Yeah. Goodbye.
Yeah, but
goodbye.
But here's the thing. They're not doing anything. They're caving into one player. Like, you're not going to pay me, then get rid of me. They're doing what Josh Jacobs wants them to do because he's got three. Because he has 3 years left.
Not if you cut his ass.
No, you trade him.
Buddy, but if you're a team, you're a team. You're sitting there. You're the GM of the Miami
Dolphins. Josh Jacobs, yeah, 3rd round pick.
Maximum. Because what are your options? Cutting him? Cool. I'll sign him for veteran minimum.
Yep.
So there is no value.
At least you get something for him.
Jonathan Taylor will probably be traded for a 3rd round pick. That's the value of the running back position now in the NFL. It's either fuck you, pay me, or trade me. And guess what? The value's not there to do either.
And to be honest with you, if I'm Josh Jacobs, it's fuck you, trade me. I don't want to play for a team that's going to win 3 games.
Me too.
Send me to somewhere in the NFC South where I can run for 7,000 yards. Make me the starting running back in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but right now, but also at the same time with training camps open, the Raiders can be at a little bit of an advantage because what if a high-end team loses their running back and is willing to pay? Maybe you get more. But what I'm saying is maybe you get more than a 2nd rounder if Pacheco goes down, if Saquon goes down.
Nobody's coming off a 1st rounder for a running back.
I'm not saying a 1st rounder, but you might get yourself a 2nd rounder. You never know.
Let's say somebody like Kansas City offers him a late 2nd.
Cool. Trade him in the division so he can run for 700 yards against you.
Exactly. Like, what are we talking about?
Revenge game, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality of the situation is
they're not going to fucking trade him. They're not.
Look at the teams that with the running back position that have needs.
Yeah.
None of them are giving up high-end draft picks because the teams that need running backs are going to be teams that are going to be drafted in the top 10. And going through this list, the Chargers, they don't need a running back. They're holding with Eckler. They're gonna run him till the wheels fall off.
And they didn't pay him either.
Dallas with Tony P, the Giants with Saquon, Philly with their committee, the Commodores, they're really gonna come off of a draft pick with Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. The Bears,
nope.
The Lions, nope. Green Bay has 2. Minnesota believes in Alexander Madison. The NFC South is probably the only thing that you could really consider because the Falcons with Bijan not trading for him. Carolina, Miles Sanders just paid him all that money. Probably not trading for a running back. New Orleans is in cap purgatory with Alvin Kamara. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have Rachaad White. The West, the Cardinals don't need anybody. The Rams are actually probably going to end up punting half of their team at the trade deadline if they're struggling. The 49ers with their committee and the Seahawks, you guys aren't trading for them. Let's be real here. The fact of the matter is the teams that need running backs, the Indianapolis Colts. Are we trading Jonathan Taylor for Josh Jacobs straight up?
No, but we're also talking – I'm just saying give it a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's going to be a whole lot different. That's what I'm saying. We still haven't had a preseason game, and these are all preseason stuff. All I'm saying is
I'm not trading a draft pick if Kareem Hunt and Dalvin Cook are on the free agent market still.
Yep. I understand that. All I'm saying is if Josh Jacobs is still the only one left, and you play your third preseason game, and your fucking running back slices his knee in half, there's Josh Jacobs. Well, now what do you want for him? That's all I'm saying. You're not going to get that value now. Okay. You could get that value in a couple of weeks. Be
the general manager for the Las Vegas Raiders. Joe Mixon blows out his ACL. I come to you. What do you want for Josh Jacobs?
At least a second rounder.
Pass. Okay. I'll go with the rookie. I'll go with Trayvon Williams. Because here's the thing. I would much rather have the value of being able to pick who I want at 64 than hope for a year of Josh Jacobs to potentially get past Patrick Mahomes and then have to deal with the same problem that you're dealing with while still paying Joe Mixon.
And now losing value at the second round.
So the problem is
you might not even keep a rental for a year.
The real thing here is when you look at Josh Jacobs, the team that should probably trade for him is whoever doesn't sign Dalvin Cook between Buffalo and Miami.
I was just going to say Miami would be perfect for him.
That's your landing spot.
You got a shot to win. You're going to make your money regardless, and then you can decide what you want to do next year finally.
Because you got the receiving weapons. You need to get the ball out of Tua's hands more. You can't have him back there with the concussion problems.
Yeah, Miami definitely needs to get a solid running back.
So at this point, if it's trading a second for Josh or signing Dalvin Cook, where are we at? I mean, I don't have a
problem. On us?
No, I have hiccups.
Okay.
I'm trying not to.
No, you're obviously going after the free agent. That's the no-brainer.
See, if I'm Miami, I don't. I go with the guy. I would actually trade the second round pick because I think Josh Jacobs gives you a better shot of winning that division.
The AFC.
I mean, the thing here is teams in the AFC have to remember you're gonna have to go through Arrowhead.
Or Buffalo or Cincinnati.
Yep.
The fact of the matter is you're going to have to beat 2 out of 3 of them.
Yep.
Get to the Super Bowl, you're going to have to beat 2 out of 3 of them probably.
Yep.
So how do you do it? Running the ball, not turning the ball over.
Yeah.
So it's one of
take it out of Tua's hands. Take it out of Tua's hands.
I agree. I think that's the best idea. Now we talked obviously, the running the backfields to avoid up in the AFC West. Is there any team in the NFC that you're hard fast avoiding besides we obviously talked about the Philadelphia Eagles already with the 17 weapons they have. Any other one that you're really like, nope, don't want anything to do with it, don't want to think about it, don't want to be about it, nothing?
Well, I mean, fantasy-wise, and this goes along with the handcuffs. Atlanta, if you draft one, you got to have the other one. You can't just take one and not have the other one and think you're going to, win a championship. Yes, Bijan is expected to be a beast. But like we said before, Algier is still there. You're just not going to send your 1,000-yard running back to the curb because of the guy a lot of people feel may have been overdrafted.
Like said, you got
take it a little too early. But, I mean.
That offense might be shit anyway, so it don't matter who's running back there. That's I don't want to.
Although their defense is expected to be really good this year. We'll see in that division exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Fair. I mean, I like Bijan just because of the upside and just being young and pass catching ability. But like you said, you might want to handcuff him. But I just think it's a shitty offense to draft a running back. If you don't get Bijan early, you're not going to get him. Like Mike said, I don't think he's going to be around in the swing for the second round or the 9-10. He's either going top 8, or you might get him there. But most people are going to jump on him early just because of the name and who he is.
Yeah, and that's the concern that I have from a fantasy standpoint. It's the flashy name, the flashy rookie, the fresh legs. People are going to think that he's going to be a guy who's just going to go out there and.
No, like we all know in a dynasty, he's our number 1 pick, though.
Correct.
I mean, 100%, right? We agree on that.
I mean, barring some kind of catastrophic thing that happens before the draft, I don't see how he doesn't go number 1.
I don't see a wide receiver. I know Craig's in love with one, but I don't see in a dynasty you're going to get 4 years out of the guy. You know what I mean? Minimum.
I mean, I
Bijan.
Oh.
You're saying he's number 1, like off the board.
Oh yeah,
but
enjoy it.
PPR or half PPR, I don't think he's justified. I'd rather see another year and maybe take a chance on him later on than not get a Travis Kelce or somebody in that 5, 6, 7 range that where Bijan's going. I just don't see the value there. In a dynasty, hell yeah. But standard snake, no, I don't.
Yeah, standard redraft. I don't see Bijan as a first round draft pick.
Nope.
Especially with the wide receivers
and the quarterback.
He's going.
That's what we're saying. I just don't. I'd rather have a Tony Pollard. That's who I'd take.
Yeah.
Over him.
And these are also done by people who draft in the beginning of August. So
true. Yeah, that's
like
true.
Remedial.
Yeah, a lot of things could change. This list will probably be very different by the time regular season starts, too.
100%. Let's see. Is there anything else that we have not hit on that I actually want to hit on before we wrap this bitch up? Let's see. Did I send something in the group chat? I'm trying to figure. Handcuffs. Let's go over those real quick, and then we can wrap this thing up. Obviously, we talked the handcuffs in Philadelphia, obviously, because there's 7,000 of them.
That's a chain gang.
Oh, shit.
Bang,
no,
bang,
I know.
Bang, gang.
Yeah, there it is.
Not like the old version. I'm talking, like not in prisoners. It's just you got 7 running backs. You need a lot of handcuffs. That's like a long chain. That's all.
Fair enough.
The first one I want to talk about, and I feel like this, I think it's Antonio Gibson.
Oh.
I feel like if you draft Brian Robinson, you kind of have to take Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot.
Again, you want to shoot a fucking.
I knew he was gonna do it. I knew he was gonna fucking do it, and I still did it.
What happened last year?
I knew he was gonna do it, and I still
like.
Yeah. Here you go, bud. Just hit it out the park.
The reason for the disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly.
R is for.
So, the reason why I say this is because Eric Bieniemy has proven in Kansas City that he doesn't need a number 1 running back. He just needs 13 running backs.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where I feel like Brian Robinson may be the number 1 on the depth chart. He'll be the flashy name. He'll be the guy that, the Bijan Robinson of that offense. But Antonio Gibson plays the role of Tyler Algier, and I think he's going to still have a role in this offense. And I feel like that if Robinson gets hurt, I feel like Gibson's a good piece to have, especially because are we really thinking they're going to throw the ball a ton with Sam Howell at quarterback? I feel like this is going to be a hand the ball off kind of offense. Because I don't think Sam Howell is the second coming of Patrick LeVon Mahomes II. So I feel like Eric Bieniemy is going to run the ball a lot in Washington this year.
That's where I differ from you, because I think they're going to be so far behind in a lot of games they might not be able to.
But that doesn't mean they're not going to run the ball.
Well, true, but I think that's where Gibson comes into play.
Can we just have a running clock? Can we just get the hell out of here?
Pretty much.
We're going to rename them the Washington Get the Fucks Out.
I think Magic owns them now, doesn't he, too, by the way? Didn't Magic's group buy that? So they were talking about changing the name back to the Redskins again and shit?
I think they're talking about that. Another team, the Detroit Lions, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't necessarily know that I think that Gibbs is going to be the number 1 running back off rip. You don't pay David Montgomery to not start him, or at least use him in some way, shape, or form. Oh, look who it is.
That's funny.
They want to trade for the 3.
Tell you should have answered the phone call and put him on the show and told him it would have taken,
Yeah, let's roll on the trade now.
Let's live trade with him. It'll take you what pick do they have?
What's on that?
I want.
What pick do they have?
I want your
I have
first
the
3-round
three.
picks. No, what pick do they have?
The 5.
I need the 5, the second round 5, the third round 5.
Yep.
I need every piece. I need every draft pick you have for the first 4 rounds.
Who the hell do they want that they feel like they need to move up to 3 to get?
I don't know.
I believe there's a wide receiver that they're eyeballing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Brandon's taking enough hurt running backs from everybody. That's fucking.
Well,
buddy, you asked me who I'm taking at 7. I'm telling you, I'm taking a fucking kicker. Don't ask me. I haven't thought about it because I don't know who's not being kept. I don't know who's not being.
That's the thing.
Traded.
That's the thing with me. I know the receiver I want.
Yeah, right. Of course.
And they're both going to be there, but one of them obviously I'm not taking because I have Metcalf.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know Smith and Jigba.
But
that's next week's show, by the way.
Yeah, I want to see. I want to see who's being kept.
Yeah, that makes all the difference.
Before
even entertaining trades.
Yeah,
I tried to talk Danny to trading a certain running back and a wide receiver to Teddy so we could actually get to 3 keepers.
What did he say?
He's like, that's too much. I was like, if we get the number 2 pick, I don't think it's too much.
Right. It's never too much for the number 2 pick.
I don't think it's too much if I get the number 2 out of it because then I can really fuck some shit up. Which is my forte, obviously. Fucking shit up. Any more handcuffs?
For you.
Yeah.
Any more? Did you have Swift?
Yeah.
Seattle.
I do.
Yeah.
You got it.
Oh, you're still doing that one. In the keeper league, you still have Swift?
I do.
You ain't keeping them then. That's what that means. Hey, Craig, Swift will be there at 3.
Yeah. For what? For what? Who?
4 weeks, baby.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying with the 3rd pick, you can have Swift.
Yeah, and Rashad Penny, sure, why not? No, handcuff.
Teddy will pick Swift.
Teddy will take Swift. I got him back. I got him again.
I got a number 1 running back.
I got him again. No, handcuff for sure is Seattle.
Yeah.
The thing is with for some reason Pete Carroll will always draft that guy that's going to step in and do what the number 1 does, where most teams, when that number 1 goes out, you're like, I'll pick up his backup, but I'm not sure I want to start him. In Seattle, it's always been that. It's been Chris Carson everybody after Lynch. It's been Penny. It's been Carson, Walker. Now they drafted Charbonnet, who's a fucking beast.
Yeah.
So they're looking to have a really good 1-2 punch. And the thing is, a guy like Walker, he's got that explosiveness to where, okay, let's say he gets you 12 carries, but he might get you 90 and a touch. Yeah. So that's one backfield that you might want to pay attention to as far as handcuffing. But it depends upon how Charbonnet's shoulder holds up. And Walker's got a groin issue, and he had a groin issue going into last season. Yeah. So it's just something to monitor, but that's definitely one team that you gotta make that handcuff.
All right, so that's them. Is there anyone else that we truly think that there has to you have to pick up a handcuff here? Are we drafting if we draft Kamara, are we trying to draft Jamal Williams? Is that where we're going? Is he that guy?
But it all depends if they sign Hunt. If they sign Kareem Hunt.
That's what I was just going to say, too. If they sign Hunt, man, now you're a 3-headed monster there.
Correct. Green Bay, where do we stand on the A.J. Dillon?
Always. Yeah. One of them's always getting hurt.
Yeah. And I think Aaron Jones is probably going to be running for his life because that's all they got. I mean, I'm sure he's playing for a contract, too. He's not getting any younger. He probably wants to get one more payday from somebody. So, it's always good to have his handcuff, I think.
Let's see. Is there anybody else that we haven't dabbled on?
You know me. I love me some Tank, man. As an ETN owner, I think that's, just because, I think it's a nice luxury to have. I really do. With Trevor Lawrence and that offense, any running back can be successful in that offense, I think, this year, moving forward.
Let's see. We talked about the Jets. We talked about the Is Jalen Warren a guy that you want to go get with the thought process of Najee Harris with the
Yeah,
getting
I
dinged
like,
up?
I like that name too. And like you said, I just that they're going to try to take the ball out of Pickett's hands too, and not make it so much one dimensional with him trying to win games now. Maybe save him and let him develop with the receivers and get a running game finally. I don't think Najee. The first 8 games probably didn't have 100 yards. I think a lot of it was late in the season, and he might lose that job. You never know.
Warren was coming in a lot last year as the change of pace guy for them, and he was the first guy up. The few times that Najee was out with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that I picked up a couple of times in a couple of leagues last year, hoping, but Najee was able to stay healthy.
Craig, you always pick up a couple of guys every fucking year. I mean,
I do.
You ever see his waiver pickups? Like Sunday morning, it's 3 running backs, dropped 2, picked up another one, 4:00 game started, picked up his backup. I mean, all you do is pick up fucking backups. You could name any running back on this list, you picked them up.
Yeah, because if the number one goes down, I scoop up a top waiver.
I love your strategy, but for you, I'm saying, who do you like as a handcuff? We just look down this fucking sheet. You just name them all.
Everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I like him.
Everyone. I think he's good.
Yeah, I like him. I'm gonna pick him up at some time this year. Don't worry about it.
Now we're wide receiver guys, so
we are definitely wide receiver guys. Speaking of that, next week we will get to the wide receiver position where we will talk about who are the guys that you need to get, who are the guys you need to avoid, what are the situations that you need to avoid, because there are some that we are going to talk about on next week's show that could be very interesting. Anything else before we go about the running backs before we kick out of here?
No.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this week's show, guys. I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. I appreciate y'all vibing with us. We're here to help you try to win your fantasy football leagues. We'll be back next week to talk about the wide receiver position on FKC Fantasy Hour right here on the Huddle Up Podcast Network.